Arguing for the end of adult marijuana prohibition is easy because we have facts, science, reason, compassion, evidence, truth, and logic on our side. It is even easier when researchers catalog it all for us. Learn how to gather the facts on marijuana use, arrests, seizures, rehabs, drug tests, and more in this edition of Drug War Data Mining. Welcome back, everyone. 22 after the hour, and we're continuing our assault on Mark Kleiman's theory that we need to overtax marijuana to keep the price high, of course, to protect the children. Because if weed was much cheaper, more kids would use it and become addicted. Well, I decided to take a look at this because nobody wants the children becoming little Spicolis or Slaters. But so far in Prohibition, we've seen no strong correlation between a state liberalizing its marijuana policies, the price of marijuana, and the rate of teen use. And so I put together a little graphic, and this is available through my Pinterest account at rbshow420 if you'd like to get this data as well. Along the x-axis, we have mapped the average cost of a high-quality ounce from $200 to $400 an ounce. On the y-axis, we've correlated the rate of monthly marijuana use for adults in blue diamonds and teenagers in red squares from 3% to 12% per month. And as you can see, just from the scattering of dots there is no correlation between the price of weed and how much teens or adults are using it. Now, I consulted the crowdsource website priceofweed.com, and I jotted down the average price for a high-quality ounce in every state. Then I downloaded the 10-year compilation from 2002 to 2011 of state marijuana use data by state, broken down by teens age 12 to 17 and adults age 18 and older. And what I found was that the price was not a very strong predictor of how many regular teen or adult marijuana users there were in a state. My state, Oregon, currently has the lowest weed prices in the nation at $208 an ounce. Roughly 8.9% of our teenagers use marijuana monthly. But go to two nearby states, Idaho and Nevada, and you'll find weed costs about the same in those two states, $276 and $267 respectively, about $70 more. But Nevada has a full 2 percentage points more monthly teen use than Idaho does. In fact, Nevada has the same use as Oregon does, despite $70 higher prices. Vermont has the highest teen use rate in the nation at 12.2%, and its weed prices are almost the highest at $374 an ounce. But South Dakota weed costs about the same, $377, but far fewer South Dakota teens use monthly, 7.6%. North Dakota weed costs $20 more, and use is lower than South Dakota at 5.6%, but Rhode Island costs $50 less, and its use is lower than Vermont's too, at 10.9%. Mississippi and Connecticut are both decriminalization states. Now, I know Connecticut's got medical, but they didn't pass it till 2012, which is outside the range of this data set. And both have equivalent weed prices. It's $337 in Mississippi, $341 in Connecticut. But Connecticut has more than twice the teen use rates. Mississippi's at 4.4, Connecticut's at 9.3. And Mississippi's second lowest teen use rate of 4.4 is beaten by Utah at 4.2, even though the price of weed in Utah is cheaper by $50. Now, I know these are ridiculously high prices under the veil of marijuana prohibition. Maybe they don't tell us anything about what use would be like in a world of $20 ounces and legal acceptance. But again, I wonder, so what? Use of marijuana is not a statistic that happens in a vacuum. It's not as if marijuana use rates rising will occur independently of every other harm to self and society out there. Perhaps in a world of cheap legal marijuana, it becomes a rite of passage for young people and binge drinking becomes passé. If so, additional harms from a few kids becoming legitimately cannabis dependent will be more than offset by the kids not dying from alcohol poisoning and committing acts of violence or sexual assault. Perhaps in this new weed world, more adults begin replacing their cigarette and alcohol habits with more regular and social cannabis use. If so, reductions in drunk driving, spousal abuse, cancer, and cirrhosis should more than make up for any new adults with a pot smoking problem. And perhaps in Pottopia, more older folks start using cannabis where they used to use Tylenol, Ambien, Viagra, Prozac, Xanax, OxyContin, or Chardonnay. If so, despite the massive financial hit to those established purveyors of drugs, the overall health of the population increases far more than the health decline of a few people who might develop an unhealthy relationship with cannabis. And finally, whether Oregon's legalization leads to diversion to other states is not Oregon's problem, it's the federal government's. From my point of view, a flood of cheap, accessible weed to nearby states only hastens the day that those states abandon their treatment of me and my kind as criminals, so I can return to my birthplace of Nampa, Idaho, and convince my 72-year-old father to ditch his 7 Vicodin